It's time to get your champagne wishes and caviar dreams. Welcome inside the Hall of Fame. Now, can you dig that?
Boom! Welcome inside the Hall of Fame. I'm Booker T, 6-time world champ, 2-time Hall of Famer. Got my man Brad Gilmore here with me. As always, man, and we getting ready to do this thing. I want to thank everybody for stepping inside the Hall of Fame, getting your champagne wishes and caviar dreams, man. Oh, yes. How you feel, man? How you feel? I feel good because I'm getting ready to get out. I got to go to New York City tomorrow, take care of a little business. But how you feel, dog?
Where you going? New York City Comic Con? Is that where you're going?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, man.
You know, talk to us. I just got to go talk to some people. Not going to work. I'm just going to talk to some people.
Just a little chat?
Yeah, take care of some business. Okay. You know what I mean? My people talk to your people. Your people talk to their people. One of those type of deals, man. But check this out. Check that out.
I was going to ask you about. Tell the people about what we're seeing. For our audio listeners, what are we looking at?
Going it up like one of them rappers. You know what I'm saying? You know, you got to, you slant your mouth all sideways when you do that. I always wonder why the rappers do that. But no, that's a piece that one of the fans at Reality of Wrestling made, actually, and it's a pop chain of the Reality of Wrestling logo, and it's so freaking sweet. Charmel got one, and it's about this big. It's much bigger, like twice the size of this one right here. But it's so cool. You're gonna be able to get you one of these at Reality of Wrestling too, guys. In a real get off me, Rover. In the near future, my dog over here licking my elbow. But no, man, it's so freaking cool that we've come this far to where we are truly a brand now, to where fans would actually, entrepreneurs out there would actually make something like this to get on board with Reality of Wrestling, to move it forward. So I'm so freaking excited for Reality of Wrestling. Our last show just went off, Rise to Wrestling Royalty. I can't say enough about that show. I really cannot say enough about that show. Everybody came out and did a hell of a job, and this the culmination of the night. Like, it was a timeout, little spot next door where we go get burgers and drinks after the show. Guy came up and said, "Look, man, this is for you. We hope to be able to do some business and bring this to Reality of Wrestling." And you know what I said? I said, "Hell yeah!" I say, "Hell yeah! Hell yeah! We gonna bring it to Reality of Wrestling."
Hall of Fame. Damn shame.
I say, "Hell yeah!" Say, "Hell yeah!" So no, man, it's so freaking cool. Rover, say hello to the people. That's my boy right there, man. My boxer. He hates it when I leave. He always start crying when I leave the house and whatnot. So freaking cool to have a best friend like this, man. Yeah.
Well, shout out to all the people who are members of the Row Nation. And again, we're going to be having some information about our November show coming up, and then obviously in December, Reality Wrestling Sub-Zero is going to be coming from the Walker, Texas Lawyer Arena, where, if you saw the conclusion of the Rise of Wrestling Royalty, kind of where we're going with a big championship match there. But we'll let the YouTube and television audience catch up to us before we reveal things going into December.
No spoilers, man. No spoilers.
No spoilers. None at all. None at all.
Get out any spoilers. Even though we got a rat at Reality Wrestling that's always filming stuff. We got to find it, because once we find him, we're going to ban his ass from coming to Reality Wrestling. I've been seeing little clips here and there and whatnot. We can always tell you guys, no filming, all right?
No filming. It's a TV show.
This is a TV show. This is movies. This is movies. So my thing is, once we catch you, you're going to be banned from Reality Wrestling going forward. I'm just letting you know.
Well, you know what? Nevertheless, yes, you cannot record a Reality Wrestling show. But BT, about the comic conventions, I actually had a question for you, because I know growing up you're a big movie fan. Were you a comic book reader? Did you read comic books?
Yeah.
What were your comic books that you would go to? What were your go-to?
Captain America, Silver Surfer, the Hulk, Spider-Man. I think those are my go-to.
And did you ever think, like, not only would you end up going to a Comic Con. I don't even know when comic conventions started. I think maybe it's sometime in the 80s, perhaps. I don't really know. But like, did you ever think that wrestling would be involved with Comic Cons? Because I was talking to actually Zilla Fatu. Shout out to Zilla. We were talking about Comic Cons and wrestling, and he's like, I had no idea that there was such a big crossover between like a comic book and movie fan and a pro wrestling fan. But when you really think about it at its essence, it makes perfect sense because wrestling, especially 80s, 90s, and even into today, is essentially comic books come to life in a lot of ways. Seeing these superhero type figures with these over the top personalities, catchphrases, colorful outfits, and performing these superhuman like maneuvers in front of the ring, inside the ring. There's kind of a crossover there. But did you ever see it?
I never really thought about it. I never really thought about it until it happened. I'm just glad I'm, here and able to capitalize off of it, because there's so many people that could have capitalized off Comic-Con like crazy, man. I always think about like the Three Stooges, how long their line would have been.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Out the door, around the corner, and a couple blocks past that.
So freaking long. It would have been nuts. And I look at guys like, the Power Rangers. They're like so freaking big at the Comic Cons. And then, guys like myself, it's amazing how big of a crossover wrestling truly is. I guess because we're, real life superheroes, they actually get a chance to come and touch us and talk to us and whatnot, unlike, Spider-Man and Superman, whatnot. Now, Superman was another one of my guys, even though he was DC comic. I didn't like too many of the DC comics. Flash, I like these. Flash also, even though he was DC. But nah, man, I don't know. No.
No, you didn't know.
Not really.
Now, when you go to these comic book conventions, I guess when's the first time you went to one? Do you remember?
I can't remember the first Comic-Con I went to, but it's been, I don't know, 10 years.
10 years or more?
Yeah.
Were you kind of taken aback by the spectacle of it? Because I think for people who've never been to one, you're not really expecting what it is. Because you might think it's like a small little hall with, people with their little comic book set up. And yes, there is a factor in that. But just last year, we were at earlier this year, we were at Comic Palooza in Houston. They have a whole cars section of all the comic themed cars and the Batmobiles and the Ghostbuster cars. You have all the actors and celebrities. Were you kind of taken aback by it by the first time you saw it? Like, wow, I didn't know it was all this.
Not really. I mean, like I said, because I've always been a comic book fan. I always wanted to see that kind of stuff up close and personal myself. So for me, when I think my first time going to a Comic-Con, I was almost like a fan, because I got a chance to see it was like they had like so many gadgets, they had, people over here selling this, people over here selling that. And it was all kind of different things too. It could have been like cell phones, like updated cell phones that was so freaking, new, like the iPhone today. And like I say, that was 10 years ago. I remember buying like the batteries, for the, actually a guy gave me like one of the batteries, for a cell phone at one of the Comic-Con. So for me, it was like, it wasn't just the comic books. It was like a plethora of things you could do at the Comic-Con. And it was just so cool. For me, it was just like when I went to Disney World for the first time. I was like a little kid all over again. Even though my little girl, she was 5 years old and she was crying, in front of the castle when all the fireworks went off and whatnot. And the thing is, I was crying too. Because it was my first time seeing it. So it was kind of like that when I first went to Comic-Con. It was like I was a little kid all over again.
Yeah, and we talked about it a couple of weeks ago on the show when you just met a couple kind of your idols in some ways at a Comic-Con, including Pam Grier and Fred Williams.
Yeah.
Now, did you have any experiences like that prior to this? Because I know one time you met DMC, and I know that was pretty cool for you when you met Run DMC.
Meeting DMC was cool. But meeting Pam, I've never had an experience like this before. That was my first time. No, I'm serious. I was just watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and she was doing a scene on there, and she looked so freaking good. Even and I don't know how many years ago that was.
She must have been in her 40s at that time,
Yeah.
mid-40s.
And I was like, man, Will Smith was like going crazy. He couldn't even handle it, But it was like me. It was meeting Pam Grier for the first time, as well as meeting Fred Williamson, because I was three the hard way, man. Fred Williamson, Jim Brown, and Jim Kelly. I remember those guys walking down the stairs in that movie, and it just that scene for me. I still remember it, to this day. And it's like, wow, get a chance to, take a photo with Fred. So for me, man, I never had a moment like that in all of my years doing Comic-Con. I almost had a moment like that with William Shatner. But the saying where they say, never really meet your heroes. He turned out to be one of those guys, and I wanted to beat up William Shatner.
Okay. He's like 90.
Who cares? Hey, stick around, you're in the Hall of Fame. Catch him at Starbucks. We'll be back in a minute. Can you dig it, sucker? And this episode is sponsored by BlueChew. Guys, let's talk about it. Let's talk about sex. Hey, you remember when you was always ready to go? I'm talking about strapping the rocket on it, man. Going straight to the moon. I'm talking about getting it done. If you want that extra confidence, I got something for you. Listen up. BlueChew.com. BlueChew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, Levitra, but in a chewable tablet at the fraction of the cost.
But the great thing, Book, is you can take it any time, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. The process is simple. You sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days.
The best part, guys, it's all done online on the internet. So there's no doctor's visit, no awkward conversations, no waiting in line at a pharmacy or any of that.
And the thing is, Book, Blue Chew's tablets, they're made right here in the USA and prepared and shipped direct to your door in a discreet package, so no one is the wiser.
Let's just get it out there, guys. Blue Chew wants to help you have better sex. Discover your options at BlueChew.com. It's like this. Chew it and do it. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew absolutely free when you use promo code Booker at your checkout. Just pay $5 for shipping, man. That's BlueChew.com. Use promo code Booker to receive your first month absolutely free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And, we want to thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the Hall of Fame podcast. Chew it and do it. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame. Just talking Comic-Con and everything going on.
No, you were talking about beating up William Shatner. That's what you were talking about.
I wanted to beat him up. I did. Not because he was. We were in the green room, actually. Uh-huh. And he was just such a nasty man.
What?
Not just his attitude. He just was I don't know. Maybe he didn't feel well. Maybe
it was look, he is in his 90s.
Maybe he was, he could have been going through something that day.
Yeah.
Maybe I should give him the benefit of the doubt, but he definitely
doubt.
Maybe I should, but he definitely was not the William Shatner that you see on television, nice and whatnot, Yeah. That's the only person. That's the only person I ever had that experience with at Comic-Con. Also,
I will say two things to that. One, I did have a chance to talk to William Shatner one time because he had a show in Sugarland, and what made me laugh is he kept saying Sugarland. I don't know why that made me laugh. I'll be there on Saturday in Sugarland. I don't know why it made me laugh. In his, he has such a unique voice, and I will tell you what. I learned early on, too, with people of note or maybe certain idols of mine or people I grew up watching on television. I learned early on, sometimes it's okay just to listen to them. You don't have to add in your own color, right? You don't have to try to make a conversation. And I'll tell you why, because it happened with one of your cohorts. And I don't know if I've told this story on the show before. and it was 100% my fault. So I'm okay with telling it. But right before I joined Reality of Wrestling, the year prior, I remember it was actually during a Comic Palooza. I wasn't at Comic Palooza, but I happened to be hosting a fashion show in downtown. And I'm driving through downtown, and anybody who knows downtown Houston, they're all one-way streets. You know, it's like one way this way, one way that way. So I'm kind of getting lost and confused on where I'm supposed to go. And I'm looking at my phone as I'm driving. And as I'm driving and looking at my phone, the person I was with, we were co-hosting together. Her name was Peaches. Peaches is like, watch out. And I slam on my brake, and I look up, and I almost run over Scott Steiner. This is a true story. Wow. I almost flattened him, right? And he looks at me and kind of gives me this face, you know, like, what the hell's wrong with you? And I was like, I was really nervous. And I had no idea that Scott Steiner would be downtown. And then we're driving off, and I turn to Peaches and go, I think I almost killed Scott Steiner, you know? And she's like, who? And I'm like, the wrestler, you know? Fast forward literally a year later, I'm in Reality of Wrestling, and we're bringing Scott Steiner in for an autograph signing. And I pick him up from the airport. I'm paying the dues, you know, and we're driving down the highway, and he's talking. And then I say, hey, Scott, you want to hear something funny? A year ago, I was driving in downtown Houston, and I almost ran over you in my truck. This very truck we're sitting in now. And he went from being talkative to the rest of the drive was silence. And I understood. I don't blame him at all. That was 100%. Like, why would I tell him that? Why would he want to know that? That does nothing for him.
It does nothing. We give him some bad memories.
Give him a terrible memory. And he probably, if we were like parked, I might have gotten the Steiner recliner. You know what I mean? Or a Frankensteiner for my troubles. But that's a true story. And I learned then, you know what? Just listen. Just listen to what they have to say. Thank them for the memories, you know, and keep it moving.
You know, like I said, maybe he just had a bad day, you know.
He probably did, man. He probably just had a bad day.
I know sometimes I have bad days too, but I'm always I never let anybody else see my bad days. And that's just me. He could be different. Because I remember the one time I saw William Defoe in the airport, and he looked like he just wanted to be alone. I said, yeah, leave him alone. You know what I mean? I don't say that was a bad experience. No. Just because I could tell, you know, I've been in that same predicament myself. So I give him a benefit.
You know, things happen. Things happen, Book. All I know, too, I mean, you told the story on this show, is like, Booker, you're the nicest guy in the world unless somebody's talking over your food, right?
Yeah.
That's the only time where you're crossing a line with us, brother.
But back up. You know, you got the aspirin, you know, that comes out of your mouth. You know, it's got your DNA in it. I don't want it in my food. You know what I mean? Yeah. I was listening to one of these cops interrogating this guy, and he was telling him, you know, about, you know, the procedures these days, you know, and the capabilities of finding your DNA, you know, the little bit of asper comes out of your mouth. Asper. I never knew.
News to me too.
That's a new word for me right there. But it sounds cool. So yeah, I don't like that.
But when you had Pam, when you met Pam recently, because I have a couple more questions about Pam Grier, because you were talking about how you just saw her on an old clip of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I saw that same clip recently. And what I loved is that Will wrote it into the show that he sleeps with Pam Grier's character. You know what I mean? You know, he was probably like, hey, man. Let me write this one in here.
Bucket list.
In the bucket list. But did you have kind of like the little bit of the butterfly as you're getting closer to the table to meet Pam? Because this is like a childhood crush of all men.
Yeah, right? Yeah. It was amazing. It really was. I mean, because she was that chick in my era coming up. Mm-hmm. Like, she was the most beautiful woman in the world. You're like, man, Pam Grier, man, she's it. And I don't know. She was groundbreaking in so many ways. And for me, there again, I watched all of those movies, every one of them, several times. Even now, I still watch them, you know. If Sheba Baby is on, I want Encore. A lot of it come on Encore. I'm gonna check it out. I'm serious. If Foxy Brown is on or something, I'm checking it out. Coffee. I'm serious, man.
Coffee. That's the one.
Oh man, I'm checking it out. So for me, she was just, she was everybody's, one growing up. I'm serious. So I think every one of us, me and all the freaking nation, I'm serious. Ron Simmons, Mark, D-Lo, Godfather, we all did the same exact thing. We was bowing. We was like, I swear, we all was, man, because she came over to our table, to take a picture with us. She actually walked from her table to come over and, and she talked with us for about a good 5 minutes or so too. So it was unbelievable to have, someone that you grew up as a child. And I guess I understand that now, when I talk to people a lot of times, and they, feel a certain way, so yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, just an awesome experience, I'm sure, for Pam. Now, let me ask you this. Because normally when you go to these Comic Cons, you go to these signings, and you do this as well. There's stuff you can buy. And if they're 8x10s, normally there's some of your more famous poses or moments of your career or something like that. What did Pam have at her table?
She had a plethora of photos. And there was this one photo. It was almost like it came to life, if you understand what I'm saying. The guy brought it over. He had bought it and came over. And we were all mesmerized by that one photo of Pam Grier. It looked like it was photoshopped. And it couldn't have been photoshopped because it was from back then.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know if they could do that these days. I don't know. But it was such a striking photo of a woman. You just go, wow, But yeah, she just had a bunch of photos, and I think she has some more merch and whatnot, but it kind of eludes me right now because it's just not what I was thinking about. I was just thinking about being in the presence of Pam Grier and Fred Williamson. It was just a cool moment. And you don't get those kind of moments. It's just like when I got a chance to meet, Gail Sayers. That was like a moment of all moments for me, because I loved Gail Sayers as a kid. And then to find myself being honored on the same night as Gail Sayers in the same room. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. And he's across the room. And I tapped Charmel on the shoulder like a little bitty kid. And I go, I think that's Gail Sayers. And she goes, you want to meet him? And I go, yeah, I want to meet him. So she took me over and introduced me to Gail Sayers. And I took a photo with them. And I got the photo on my wall down to school, So it's just amazing, man. Just like meeting Muhammad Ali on my wall right there. Those kind of moments for me, rarity that I mark out. Stick around, you guys. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute. Can you dig it, sucker? All right, everyone, it's Booker T and Brad Gilmore here, and we've got something exciting for all you sports, comedy, music, and theater fans out there. We're talking about GameTime, the fastest, easiest way to get your hands on tickets to your favorite events.
That's right, Book. We love all those spontaneous, unforgettable moments, and GameTime is here to make them happen. Whether it's a last-minute decision to see a game or a sudden urge to catch a live show, GameTime has got you covered, giving fans access to tickets even at the last minute in over 60 cities across the United States and Canada.
Hey guys, this ain't about getting in. This is about getting the best seats in the house. With GameTime, you can see images of your seat before you buy it. So no surprises there, guys. You can score tickets swiftly. Skip the line, guys. Just dive straight into the moment.
Absolutely. And listen to this. GameTime guarantees the best prices. Find tickets in the same section and row for less elsewhere GameTime will give you a credit of 110% of the difference. So there's no reason to wait, bro.
So whether it's the thrill of the game, the laughter of the comedy, the rhythm of the music, or the drama of the theater, guys, don't let the opportunity skip by. Choose GameTime. Grab your tickets and just enjoy the moment.
Live should be spontaneous books, so guys, don't miss out. Check out GameTime now on their app or at gametime.co. That's gametime.co.
Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Just download the GameTime app, create an account, and use the code BOOKER for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Lowest price guarantee. Oh, yes. Welcome back inside to Hall of Fame, man. I know we probably got some super chatters out there. We're going to be getting to you guys here shortly. I say a few things going on in the world of pro wrestling. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to start?
Well, I do want to save most of the super chats, and I want to encourage everybody. We want to hit goals here on the Hall of Fame, so please send in your super chats because you can dictate what we talk about on this show. But we were talking about Pam Grier, and I feel like this super chat kind of goes into that conversation. So before we steer off from it, rather, I wanted you to kind of give your reaction to this one. Brandon says, "Yo, Book, who's your women's Mount Rushmore?" So I'm assuming he means like your all-time hottie list. Who's 1 through 4? You know, your crushes, your on-screen, what have yous, models.
You know what, Brandon? I'm gonna come back to that. I'm gonna answer that question before we leave the Hall of Fame today. But I got to think about that one for a minute.
You got to think about it. You don't have like a go-to list.
No, I mean, of course, Charmel's on the list. I mean,
okay.
Pam Grier, you know, probably Halle Berry might be on the list.
Yeah, I have Halle.
And probably, I don't know. I never really thought about that. Let me think about who the fourth one would be. Yeah.
We'll think about it in a minute. We also had and I'm not asking you to answer this. I want the chat to do it. We were talking on the road recently when we were going to Austin, who like the Pam Grier of this generation is. Like, who is that woman? So I'd like to know what the chat has to say about it. But I don't know, Book. There's a few things.
I really don't think there is one, but go ahead.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. You know, it's definitely a question.
No, I mean, we just not talking about good looks. We talking about she was a Renaissance woman. She did pretty much everything. She was out there. So I mean, give me someone in that comparison, and then we can talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, and you said Halle. I think when we were talking, I think Halle's a little bit removed from 2024, but I agree with Halle. Halle was like a Pam style, a little bit different though.
Yeah,
a little bit different.
A little bit different.
She could do the acting.
Yeah,
and the action and
she was in the groundbreaking movies, as well.
Yeah. Academy Award winner. So anyway, but you said there were some stories in wrestling. What were some of the things that you wanted to cover? Because there was some I saw pop up on my radar, but it's more of not a current story; it's an older story. But do you have anything that you wanted to address up top?
I mean, there's not a whole lot going on out there. I was looking at the RVD is gonna. I mean, RVD is a buddy of mine, so I definitely want to give him a plug. He's starting his Only Wrestlers. I heard him talking about that on YouTube a couple of weeks ago, and was talking about how it's going to be structured and whatnot, how fans can actually interact with their favorite wrestlers and whatnot, and fans can actually make some money actually by getting other people to join and whatnot as well. So it seems like it got a lot of different components to it. So big shout out to RVD and his Only Wrestlers, kind of like fans only, I guess. OnlyFans. So I guess like I say, check it out. That's my boy RVD is always trying to get something off the ground.
Is it like OnlyFans in the sense of
no, I don't think
images?
I don't think it's naked photos. I don't think people are gonna be butt naked on it or anything like that. I think it's about being able to interact with the wrestling community.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We want to make sure that there's that clear distinction.
Yeah.
Because I think OnlyFans now is pretty much all images.
Oh yeah.
I've
never. You know what? I've never looked at one image on OnlyFans.
Nor have I. But I know that OnlyFans announced at one point, maybe a couple years ago.
I saw the Mandy Rose was on online. I mean on
OnlyFans.
those, No, I saw hers on like one of the sites.
Oh, okay.
One of the, one of the wrestling sites.
Oh, okay.
That posted them, yeah. But
Oh, I see what you're saying. And you
like,
clicked for research purposes only.
bro, I was looking for stories. I was looking for
No, that's
stories.
what I'm saying.
Yeah. And they had some, but it wasn't the, the full, the full Monty. You know what I'm saying? It was, you know what I'm saying? It was she had clothes on. Let's just say that. What, man?
Well, shout out to RVD. You know what I mean? We'll see what happens with this. Rob, when's the last time you got to hang out with Rob? Has it been a minute?
I think I saw Rob at one of the shows not too long ago. Yeah, I think maybe in Atlanta, maybe. I don't know. One of the shows I saw him at, not too long ago. But
Yeah,
it's been a while since we kicked it, and
that's
hung
what I
out.
mean.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah. We
Because
on.
last.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. I mean, Rob is, he's got a lot going on, and I got a lot going on. Of course, we see each other like at Comic Cons and stuff like that all the time. But as far as sitting down and kicking it and having a drink, it's been a minute.
Last time we had Rob on the show, I think he was talking. He had that documentary out about all the head trauma that he had, and the things he was trying to do in order to maybe counteract some of the damage that he went on. Now, obviously, Rob had a more of a hardcore career than you did. But when the stuff happened with Nowinski and you started hearing about all these things, and you were still, active at the times where people really started looking at concussions and kind of not to the extent they are now, but when really the conversation first started, did you change your style at all when y'all started hearing more about head trauma? Because you were never a guy who was too proud to put his hands up, right? If they were swinging something.
I never was thinking about the the CTE protocol or anything like that. That don't apply to me.
Right, because you never put yourself in a situation where you were going to be getting head trauma.
I didn't get hit in the head too many times. Not like to the point to where I was blacked out or anything like that. I got hit on the chin and went out. I remember once, with Perry Saturn. His knee like caught me like right on the chin and bang, and I like, but with like, woozy. My legs was,
Right.
like limp, But other than that, I don't. I remember, working with the Nasties and getting banged up a little bit. I'm serious.
I don't think you have much of a choice in that matter.
Yeah. But other than that, I didn't put myself in position to, have to think about CT later on in life or anything like that. I never took a lot of chair shots. I didn't do any dives. I don't remember me doing one dive in my career. I mean, over the top, through the ropes, or anything like that. Harlem Hangover, that was one thing, but I never put myself in a position where I was whiplashing. Even the way I would bump, I always bumped a certain way. So I don't know. A lot of guys, I'm sure, when that protocol came out, they started thinking about, what they had put themselves through, just like RVD doing that stuff in ECW. I mean, that was a career. That was a career in itself. The stuff that they did in that company, some of the risks that they took in that company, even though Rob was really, really durable. He wasn't a guy that got hurt or anything like that. But, you know what we say about the bump card, right?
You only got so many.
Yeah. So, yeah, those guys put themselves through hell in that company.
Really difficult, right? Some of the stuff that, man, there was I forgot what they call it. There's a name of the incident, but it's where they had the incident with the young, I think he was a replacement wrestler or enhancement guy, and New Jack, and the gangsters kind of really put a beating on him.
Mass transit
Incident. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And when you watch stuff like that, and then you watch kind of how the guys take care of themselves today, God, man, what a night and day difference.
Oh, brother, I never once thought about going to ECW.
For that reason, right? I mean, for real.
It just wasn't my cup of tea. I was like, I wasn't going to do that. I just wasn't willing to do that. I don't know. And nothing against the guys that was willing to do that. But for me, it just was not my cup of tea. I remember when I had to go over in WWE to ECW when they had, bought the company. And I went over as King Booker. And it was it was so funny, man. It was so funny because I was like, why was I there? Running into guys like Balls Mahoney. You got to go back and watch it, man. Really, really funny stuff. I'm serious. Yeah.
I think I do remember the segment. I would like.
It was so funny, man. It was so freaking funny. Yeah.
Freaking Balls Mahoney.
I think I might have worked RVD that night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go look at. It was King Booker, right?
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I think I wrestled RVD that night.
We'll see if I can find King Booker at ECW.
Yeah, it was one of my classic matches. I think I stole the victory from RVD. If I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, the old brain is still cooking. Yeah.
I'm gonna look into it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look into it. I'm gonna try to find where you were in ECW because I know it happened.
You can find it, check it, just to see if my brain's still working. But I think I did work.
It says you were in ECW on Sci-Fi number 15, but I'm trying to figure out who you worked that day.
Yeah,
it looks like you wrestled Rob Van Dam.
Oh, that is, man. The old brain is still working. Hey, man. We got a whole lot more to talk about. Stick around, guys. Only wrestlers. I was finna say only fan. Only wrestling. Only wrestling. Only wrestlers. Only wrestlers. Yeah. Check it out. Check it out. Look it up. Look it up. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
Hey everybody, Brad Gilmore here with the one and only Booker T, and today we're not just talking about wrestling, we're talking about something that's changed the game for both of us personally, and that's Mando whole body deodorant.
Yeah, that's right, Brad. The most valuable thing in the world could be that #1 draft pick or home field advantage throughout the playoffs, but you know what? Second time.
Absolutely, Book, and let me tell you, managing body odor, that used to eat up a lot of time. Always worrying about it, especially around midday, but not anymore since we started using Mando.
Yeah, but tell them why, Brad.
Well, Mando isn't like those other deodorants that just mask the odor with heavy fragrances. Mando stops odor at the source. It blocks bacteria on your skin from breaking down sweat, which, by the way, is what really causes that BO.
And it's clinically proven to control that odor for up to 72 hours. Now that's long-lasting, man.
It really frees up so much time since switching to Mando. I've even perfected my half-court shot, believe it or not.
Man, that's awesome. And let me add, I've been using Mando everywhere. Pits, rondos, and even those stinky crevices. We all got it's aluminum-free, cruelty-free, dye-free, and vegan. Designed by a doctor who knew what was up about body odor, man.
And for our listeners, we got something special. New customers can get $5 off the Mando starter pack. That's over 40% off. Just use our code BOOKER at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com.
Use shopmando.com. Check out their starter pack. Brad and I would not steer you wrong.
With Mando, you're really taking care of your body odor anywhere and everywhere. Give it a try and let us know what you think.
All right, now back to wrestling. But remember, control your body odor anywhere, anytime with Mando, and save big with the promo code Booker at shopmando.com. Boom! Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, man. You say you saw something out there.
I did. You know what? We're actually taking a stroll down old memory lane, and I was looking at online, saw an interview that popped up on a show called Wrestling Life with Ben Veal. Just to give him credit, the tagline is "Real talk from real talent." I like it. So shout out to Ben Veal. And he had why are you laughing? He had Buff Bagwell on, Buff the Stuff, Marcus Bagwell to some. By the way, and I believe what Stars and Stripes, Marcus Bagwell and the Patriot was who Harlem Heat won their first WCW tag team titles against back in the day.
Beat them boys down.
Beat them up.
Beat
Stars
down.
And Stripes for Harlem Heat.
Like
those were back with good tag team names, though. Stars and Stripes is a good tag team name. It's a really good one. Anyway,
yeah, I like the Patriot too. He's really cool.
Don Wilkes, is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I was listening to this, and Buff started talking about the match that you and he had on the main event of Monday Night Raw, Tacoma, Washington.
Is this a recent interview?
Yeah, this was 2 days ago. 2 days ago, this came out. Why do you ask if have you seen this one or something?
No, it's just because Buff Bagwell keep telling this story, man. He just keep telling this story over and over and over and over. I've heard it like 1,000 times, and it's like I get it. I get it. You know what I mean? What happened with him in WWE? It didn't work out. His career pretty much, floundered from that point on. I get it, but just keep hearing this story, man. And I've tried my best not to. Go ahead. Let me hear it.
Okay, well, here's a clip from
I want to see if it's any different than the last time I heard it.
So this is Buff Bagwell again. Shout out, credit to Wrestling Life with Ben Veal, is the name of it. Here's Buff the Stuff in gimmick, by the way.
It wasn't that it wasn't that bad. It wasn't bad at all. There's not one flaw in that match. There's not a missed clothesline. There's not a punch that looks bad. Every punch, every move, every single drop kick, every kick, it was right on the money. It just wasn't what they wanted. And they made people believe that it was a bad match. It's not the truth, though. It just isn't. There's a bad match when you see a guy, duck a clothesline that's not there, or he misses a drop kick, or he's off a little bit in the ring. There was nothing that happened bad in that match. But there's two things that people don't know. Number one, they don't know that nobody talked to us about that match. Booker T would also confirm this, but when we got to the back, me and Booker were kind of blaming each other for it just not flowing well. It didn't flow good, but again, there wasn't nothing wrong with the match, but it just didn't flow real good for me. And me and Booker have had thousands of great matches. And so me and Booker were excited about the match, but it didn't flow real as smooth as we liked it to. But Booker, we got to the back and they were like, and Johnny Ace was in charge of the 12 wrestlers that got hired at WWE first. And then Pat Patterson is who did all of the main event finishes for the WWF. So neither one of them came and talked to me and Booker. All that we were told to do was Stone Cold came to us and he told us that him and Kurt were going to hit at the end of their match, beat Booker up, beat me up. I was going to join and help beat Booker up, and then they were going to turn on me and toss me out the back too. We had no talk about what kind of match they wanted. There was nobody came to us and told us exactly what they wanted. So we didn't know. We just went out and gave them a WCW style match. And that's not what the WWF does, but we didn't know that. We went out and did the best we could. And they acted like we fell over each other. But the biggest thing a lot of people don't realize is the next week was Atlanta, Georgia. Why would anybody if this one sentence don't say it all, who puts on a match a week before Atlanta when you're calling it the Invasion? The Invasion would have been perfect, not 2 weeks away, not a month away. 7 days later, we could have done me and Booker in Atlanta, Georgia, and the roof came off the place.
Yeah.
Boom. Well, there you go. There's Buff the Stuff talking about the match in Tacoma, Washington, which I know a lot of people have always discussed over the years. Well, was there anything that he said that was inaccurate, or this is your first time hearing this, by the way? I know that this is your first time hearing this. So.
Oh, I've heard the story 1,000 times.
Well, first time with that clip.
Yeah, it's the first time with this clip right here. And I've avoided talking about it on purpose because, a lot of it is inaccurate. I mean, it really is. A lot of it is inaccurate. Could we have had the match in Atlanta 2 weeks later? Of course we could have, but we wasn't in WWF to be endeared. They didn't care about, making us look good. It wasn't about making us look good. And I think I realized that very, very quickly. Right off the bat, I realized that. Even though I came in the heavyweight champ as well as the United States champ, I knew I was going to have to earn my keep in that company. Again, man, I hate even, I don't even want to, I mean, like I said, that's the way Buff remembered. But, the week before Buff and I worked that match in Tacoma, we worked a house show. And I knew the match in Tacoma wasn't going to go well. And I remember going, just like he was talking about John Laurinaitis, who also is Johnny Ace. I went to Johnny Ace and I told Johnny Ace if it was any way we could postpone this match, because I just didn't think it was going to go well. And Johnny Ace goes, "It's nothing I could do."
Mm.
So therefore, the fix was in. The fix was in, bro. That's something I never said before. I've never talked about, because that's here nor there.
It's old stuff, right?
Yeah, it is. And then going out and having the match, it wasn't a match that Buff and I had 1,000 times. It wasn't. The match Buff and I had 1,000 times was far gone by that time. It really was. And I mean, I don't want to get into the backstage,
Sure.
What the way I remember it, but the story is just not accurate. It's not accurate to the way I remember it. Just because I know that night I was ready to perform at the highest level, and that night I did not perform at my highest level, and that was one of the only nights that I could not go out and will that match into existence. And I could say this, it wasn't my fault.
Well, because you always prided yourself on going out there and giving them the quote unquote follow that performance, right?
I think that's the first time I ever got the boring chant.
And only time?
Yeah, that's the only time I ever got that.
Yeah.
It was in that match. And I remember exactly why. I remember exactly when it started happening. And I was like, wow, I was so mad and I was so upset, just because I wanted to conquer WWE. I wanted to come and be able to perform with anybody in the world. And I wasn't performing with a WWE guy, I was performing with a WCW guy, but I still wanted to come there and show the world, how good I really was. And that night, I just couldn't do it.
When you get that boring chant and you're going and the match is over and you're walking to the back, was there a thought in your mind of like, is this how my story ends in WWE?
No, not for 1 second. I knew I was going to get another opportunity. That's all I needed, was just another opportunity. And I think right after that, they brought Dallas Page in, and me and Dallas, we went out and we worked. I think that was the next guy that I worked, was Dallas Page, from a realistic perspective. And me and Dallas, we went out and we worked our asses off, even though Dallas wasn't like a high flyer or anything like that. But it showed that, the guy could work, give him a break. It was one of those type of things. I never had any, thoughts whether I was going to make it in WWE or, like for 1 second, not one thought did I ever think I was, going to make it. I knew I was going to make it. I didn't think I was going to last, 30 years. Damn near, but I knew I was going to make it. I just needed the opportunity. Bagwell, it was going to be hard for Bagwell to make it in the WWE. It just was going to be hard for him, even if they would have gave him a shot, even if they would have put him on the roster. It was going to be hard for Bagwell to make it in WWE. And I'm just saying this because he came from that WCW mentality, and up there, it was just a totally different game. Stick around, guys. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
My name is Nathan Wasser, and I'm from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I came down here to Reality of Wrestling to improve my training and get myself more experience learning from the absolute best. It's intense. It's hard. You got to leave your ego at the door and come in with an open mind. The way they do stuff here is the next level. But if you do that, you'll end up bettering yourself in the end, and you'll improve, and you'll be able to work anywhere.
Nathan, he's an unbelievably awesome student. I'll tell you why, right? For a few reasons. Number one, the man packed up all the way from the Great White North to move down here to the U.S. to train because he wanted to learn from one of the best. But what's even more impressive, on top of the fact that he takes care of his body, he works hard, is the fact that he was trained by a very reputable trainer and yet still comes down here humble, hungry, ready to work and ready to learn, and not coming in here acting like he knows everything or that he's too rigid in his ways.
Booker's knowledge will help you get to whatever goals you want to do if you want to be a big star in this industry. My end goal is to be in WWE. Coming down here to Reality of Wrestling, I feel is the best opportunity for me to get there, so I'm going to do whatever it takes. I can promise you, when you come to Reality of Wrestling, it will change your life. You will not regret it.
Can you dig it, sucker?
You're listening to the Hall of Fame. Here's Booker T and Brad Gilmore.
Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame. Booker T, 6-time world champ, along with my man Brad Gilmore. We just chopping up old stories. He had to bring up this old story about Buff Bagwell and take me back down memory lane. Almost ticked me off a little bit, but I ain't gonna let it happen. You got any more questions about Buff? You got any more questions?
Well, I wanted to not. I think when people talk about Buff Bagwell, I think a lot of the times it ends kind of on, or people discuss kind of the end of his career, right? And where it went wrong, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
But we were just mentioning, he said even in that clip, man, I worked Booker 1,000 times before. And I know when you talk about, especially the Harlem Heat run, you had a lot of great matches with Marcus Bagwell.
Yeah.
Before.
Mm-hmm.
What do you remember about the early days of working with Buff before, obviously towards the end of his career where things may have, for whatever reason, fallen off the rails? Whatever the reason might be, it's not really important. The important part is, what do you remember about working with him early on in those Stars and Stripes programs or any of those, the Alpha Males?
No, man. With him and Scotty Riggs, great time. Him and the Patriot, great time. Just Buff Bagwell and me, singles match, great matches. Always, we were young and we were excited. We're on television. We were making money. It was just a great time. It really was a great time. And Buff Bagwell, he was good. I mean, he was actually good. I mean, his timing was good. He was that good fiery baby face, sell good for you. He was actually really, really good in the ring. I think tides turned, after he got injured and whatnot. And I think also, I always called him the Millionaire Boys Club with him and Lex Luger and Sting. They used to be on the road. They had their golf clubs. They were players. They were players. And Buff Bagwell, he was, right in the mix with that, and he got a chance to start seeing it from a different perspective. And I think that might have had a lot to do with Buff Bagwell. The change, in Buff. But in the early days, man, we had some great times on the road, in the ring. Buff and I, we've never gone out or anything like that. We've never partied together or, hung out. It's never been like that or anything like that, but we had some great times in the ring.
Yeah, I think that when I became a WCW fan, it was kind of after the tag team. It was after Marcus Bagwell. He was Buff Bagwell at this time. And I even remember the big hats and the whole nine. So I never really got to see, I guess, what would you consider the peak of his powers in WCW. But I've heard people, just as you just did, always discuss that Marcus Bagwell, man, was a hell of a talent during that run. Do you think that if outside forces weren't a factor, that Marcus Bagwell could have been one of the guys in WWE? Or was it just like, because I know you said it wasn't WCW. And a lot of guys came over to WWF thinking we're going to do the same way we were in WCW.
Well,
You had the wherewithal, understanding, and know-how to realize it was going to be a whole different ball game. But do you think Buff, had he been able to stick it out, could Rover, man? Do you think he could have succeeded in WWE?
Of course he could have. I'm not saying that he couldn't have.
Sure.
But I think the injury, what Buff was going through at that time, it was going to be really, really hard for him. I don't want to, tell his business or anything like that. Or
Sure.
I mean, his story is pretty public as far as Buff dealing with addiction and whatnot. I think if the old Buff Bagwell would have came into WWE, he would have made it with flying colors.
Mm-hmm.
Buff Bagwell that came in before the neck injury, that kid that I worked with for many, many years, that kid would have came into WWE. He would have shocked and amazed so many damn people because he was a good looking kid. He was a kid. But when he became Buff Bagwell, things changed. Things really did change. He became a different person. And when you're making a lot of money too, I think that may have a lot to do with it also. For me, I was making a lot of money, but I was like laser focused. I was laser focused on what was next. What was next for me was, I didn't know, maybe WWE, I don't know, but I know it's a storm coming and I know it's around the corner and I need to be ready for it. That was my mentality all the time in WCW, my full run in WCW. I never got complacent. And I think a lot of those guys, Buff Bagwell included, I don't know, I could be wrong. He could, verify or not. I think Buff Bagwell was one of those guys that got complacent because he was making a lot of money and it was a party, bro. It was a party. Anything you wanted, you could get it. And I think that's what it was with a lot of guys in WCW. That's why a lot of those guys did not make it in the WWE. I really feel like that was the reason more than anything. Preparation was the only luck. And when that company closed, nobody was prepared for it. Nobody.
Yeah, but you were prepared in the sense of when the call came, you were ready to go over and figure it out, right? Let me ask you this though: when y'all got over to WCW, I'm sure for the first couple weeks, and maybe I'm wrong, but like
We
the
got
WCW, huh?
We got to WWE.
WWE. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When you got to WWE, did the WCW guys, yourself included, kind of pal around with each other and try to figure this out together? Did y'all talk about like, hey man, this is different, this is different, this is different, or was it all a solo act?
Look, man, they sent all those guys to the power plant. I didn't go there. What are you thinking? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I didn't go there. I didn't have to do that stuff. What are you talking about?
Well, no, I'm saying like DDP and Bagwell
Look, I didn't go. I don't know if Dallas had to go down, to the I don't know, the performance center, whatever they called it back then. But no, I don't know. I came right into work. I never talked to Dallas or anybody when I came into WWE. I came in, I worked. I don't even know if I ever talked to Bagwell outside of the match we had.
Wow.
Seriously. I talked to Dallas because Dallas and we were just cool, But anybody else, I don't really remember talking to him about, hey man, I don't know if these guys are gonna like us here. Oh man, heck no, man. I wasn't thinking about that. I wasn't friends with a lot of those guys. Even Bagwell and I, we worked a lot, but we wasn't really friends. I wouldn't really consider us friends. I would consider us, co-workers. I would consider us friendly, but friends, so, it's hard to know, people, so you really can't say who your friend really is unless you really have a real bond. And we had like I said, we had, we go in the ring, we had a bond, but, after that, he went his way, I went mine.
Right. And the thing is too, that's not uncommon, right? Like you, just because you work together doesn't mean like you're necessarily boys and want to go on the road and all that. Okay, one more thing on this, and then I know we're getting super chats in, and we have at least another segment left. I've lost count, but did you think the invasion angle was going to go over well?
Hell no.
You knew it wasn't going to work.
It had no win in itself. It was dead on arrival. We had no players. I came in. I left a lot of money on the table to come in. A lot of those guys, they had big contracts. They stayed at home and collected their money. I don't blame them one bit. But for me, I just thought time off was my worst enemy. I had both titles. I felt like the money that I lost, I could make it back in no time. And I say, it's time for me to prove exactly how good I really am. Let's see. And so I banked on myself. As far as the invasion angle, we had nothing. We had no players to actually really create. And the thing is, I don't think they really wanted to do an invasion angle. I really don't. I think that was a done deal when the company was bought. They wanted to shut it down. That's my thought process back then and still to this day, because if they really wanted to do something with WCW, they could have. They bought it to shut it down because that was the competition. How long did WWE run without any competition to compete against?
Quite some time.
That was the biggest luxury in the world to have, to not have to compete with anybody here in the United States of America. Come
At
on,
a big scale, yeah.
I mean, just think about it for one moment, and I think you'll come up with the same conclusion that I just came up with. If you're smart, I think running two companies, I think that's pretty hard to do it simultaneously, and I think AEW is proving that right now.
With Ring of Honor, yeah.
Exactly my point, right? So I don't know. Maybe I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Hey guys, stick around with you in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
Hey everyone, it's Brad Gilmore from the Hall of Fame here with the one and only Booker T, the 5-time WCW champion, and we're excited to talk to you about something that's been a game changer for the both of us. That's HelloFresh.
That's right, Brad. HelloFresh makes home cooking easy, fun, and affordable with farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. You can skip those tiring trips to the grocery store and dive straight into cooking delicioso meals, man.
Absolutely, Book. HelloFresh offers over 50 recipes and a ton of market items to choose from every single week. You can say goodbye to meal planning woes and hello to convenience. I've been loving their quick and easy recipes. They're ready in 20 minutes or less, which means I can spend less time in the kitchen and more time enjoying that Texas summer sunshine.
And let me tell you, the fit and wholesome recipes are perfect for keeping you feeling great all summer long. They're balanced pack with fresh produce at under 650 calories per serving. Plus, HelloFresh kids-friendly recipes are picky eater proof. My kids love them.
And here's the best part, BT. If you go to HelloFresh.com/freebooker, that's HelloFresh.com/freebooker right now, you can get one free breakfast item for life. Forever, the entire time you're alive. That is HelloFresh.com/freebooker.
America's #1 meal kit. Baby, trust me, you won't regret it. HelloFresh takes the hassle out of meal planning, shopping, and most of the prep. You just choose your meals, select a delivery date, and get cooking, man.
So what are you waiting for? Go to HelloFresh.com/freebooker. That's HelloFresh.com/freebooker for free breakfast for life. HelloFresh.com/freebooker.
Boom. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame. Anything else? Shall we go? Shall we talk about Bobby Lashley getting ready to make his...
Talk about Bobby. This is it for us, right? Are we done after this?
I think we got one more.
Okay, go ahead then.
We got one more. Then we started a little late. But yeah, Bobby Lashley getting ready to make his debut in AEW. I heard they pulled him from not making his debut just last week. Because they had a lot going on. I'm not sure why. But timing has to be right to bring somebody like Bobby in. Shelton Benjamin going to be taking on Swerve Strickland next week. I'm kind of looking forward to that. I want to see exactly how that thing play out, what that kind of match look like with Shelton Benjamin, You know, it's kind of crazy. Sheldon got over 20 years. Sheldon, he's a vet. Swerve, he's been in the game quite some time as well. I don't think he got 20 in, but I think he might be getting, close, maybe 15, maybe 12 to 15. That should be a very, very interesting match. It's definitely going to tell a tale. I want to see how much gas Shelton still got in the tank. That's what I want to see. So I'm looking forward to that match.
Well, obviously, Shelton and MV over there in AEW, you can only imagine there's waiting. Everyone's waiting for Bobby to make that debut. And the thing is, I think we're probably aligned on this. I'm happy that these guys have made the soft landing, I think, to use your terminology, because the Hurt Business, especially during pandemic and then coming out of the pandemic, was one of the best things on the show. I mean, let's not even trip about it. They were a great act, a great look. Try to bring up Cedric Alexander at the same time, with 3 veteran guys who all made names in the business. It was kind of what you wanted from a faction. Cool, badass, title wins, bringing up someone young with them. It was great. So the fact they're bringing it over to AEW, and I'm kind of interested to see where MV kind of courting all these certain performers, where that's going to go. But the thing with Bobby is you have to debut Bobby right in AEW. You have to. You only get one shot at this debut, and I think sometimes they've debuted other performers in great ways, like Sting, and then sometimes they've introduced old WWE performers or veteran WWE performers in not the best way. Like when Jeff Hardy, do you remember Jeff's debut? And I love Jeff, but Jeff's debut in AEW was Matt's getting beat up. They hit his music. Jeff does his full entrance before he runs to save his brother. You remember that, right? So sometimes they haven't been the best debuts. There was Edge's debut, which was great. So
my God, man, I forgot all about that.
He hit his full entrance.
He did his full dance while his brother was in there getting the hell beat.
This stuff, I don't really even know what this is, but it works. It's worked. It's gotten over with me, especially.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think you got to debut Bobby right, and put him in the right program.
Yeah.
And the question is, who is that program? I mean, that's the thing. Who does Bobby match up with best over there? And it's going to do something in a style in which the AEW fan base is going to appreciate.
Hey, Cage got the title, right?
No. John Moxley's the champion.
I mean, but Brian Cage, he got one of the titles, right?
Oh, Brian Cage. Yeah, Brian Cage has a Ring of Honor title, I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Throw him in there with Brian Cage. I think that's a lot of beef. I mean, both of those guys, they match up very well together, right?
Yeah.
Brian Cage like doing dives as well.
He's a diving guy.
He's a diver. You know what I mean? So that might be good. That might be good right there. That might be the match. Hey.
But whoever Bobby goes against,
yeah.
he's got to run through.
I booked it.
There you go. But like whoever Bobby goes against, he's got to run through.
Maybe they should bring Ryback in for that match. What, man? I'm serious. This will be a good time to bring Ryback back.
Ryback back?
Ryback back.
I don't think so.
What's wrong with that idea?
What? So he can lose to Bobby in 2.5 minutes?
Hey, bro, look here. It's not about
Paycheck?
losing. It's about getting a paycheck. It's about what's on the marquee. When you see that right there on the marquee, boom. No, not boom. Boom.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, man. I don't know about that one. But you know what? But like, okay, let me ask you this. How does Bobby match up with somebody like Swerve?
I think that'll be a good match.
I think that's a good look. That could be a good thing.
No, that's a good match because Bobby, definitely could be really, really dominant in that match, and Swerve could do the stuff he does. And I think mixing it together, that might be the best formula, to be honest.
Yeah, because Swerve's great, man. Swerve's great in the ring.
Two muscle guys together, it's never really that good exciting of a match. It's just too much beef in there.
Yeah, I mean, you need some guy to be able to move around and move and stick and
No, I agree with you. But
what
you
is
don't
action is movement.
You don't like the Ryback thing.
No.
All
I'm still waiting on you and Ryback. Is there gonna be like something? Weren't y'all working an angle?
The handicap match.
Were y'all working an angle? Wasn't that a work? Weren't you trying to get on a Saudi show?
That doesn't work.
Oh, man. Trying to make it happen, man. I mean, I get it. You're a worker.
Oh my God, I'm being serious, man. See, you playing. I'm up here being serious. I'm trying to make.
You can't even say it.
I'm trying to match make. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to match make here.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to promote some shows. I'm trying to get some people riled up. You know, get them excited about a match.
You know what?
What?
The thing, and I mean this honestly, and again, of course, you know, Ryback's going to turn to a different person, like a different personality online in the last several years. But do you remember Ryback's run in WWE? Like that, you know, year and a half run?
It was a hell of a run.
He really could have been something, man. I don't know what happened. I really don't, but
Ryback had his run was, it definitely was, you know, looking to peak, like it was going to peak out to be something huge.
Like to where he was going to be a mainstay guy in that main event scene,
You know what
upper mid.
The thing
main
is,
event.
I think it had the potential to be.
Yeah.
But I think with the fans wanting to do the Goldberg thing, it was always going to be hard to break out of that.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that was the one thing that Ryback had that was working against him more than anything was people seeing Goldberg when they saw Ryback. And why, you know, I don't know. You know, was it the gear? You know, was it the look? You know, I don't know.
Bald head, the goatee, beating guys quick, muscle bound, power moves.
Yeah, that could be it. But I think I really believe that was Ryback's biggest hurdle.
I think that held him back in certain aspects for sure. And then, you know, and this is again, no disrespect to Ryback, but if you see like Ryback and then you see Bill Goldberg, you know, it definitely seems like, okay, I stole a little bit from this guy. And maybe he did, maybe he didn't, but just from appearance, power moves, muscle bound, it had that. And
and then he had the RVD singlet.
He had the RVD singlet with the airbrush on it. And then though, remember he was first taking like handicap matches where he beat two guys at once, something that they did with Goldberg too. So they gave him the Goldberg push.
But
it almost worked.
It almost worked. It almost worked. You know, mishaps, whatnot. I don't know what happened with Ryback's career. I really, truly don't know. I've heard the stories with stuff like with him, CM Punk. And I've heard other people say, you know, that Ryback was dating. I never worked with Ryback.
Right.
You know, so I don't know how he worked in the ring or anything like that. Yeah, you're right. He definitely was a guy that was on the radar to be a huge star in WWE. I don't know what happened with Ryback, but you can go on YouTube and look at the rise and fall of Ryback if you want to.
Yeah.
And I think they tell everything. Yeah,
you can find that out. You can find that out there. But yeah,
and
again,
I don't even know if those stories are true, but it's a lot of juicy stuff. A lot of juicy stuff. You want to go check it out. A lot of sexy stuff. You want to check it out. But guys,
we got another segment. Let's get to it. Let's go to commercial.
We'll be back in a minute. You dig it, sucker!
You are listening to the Hall of Fame. Here's Booker T and Brad Gilmore.
Out. When you come to the WWA, this is what you're going to have to face right here. It's the GI Bro.
Well, let me tell you something, Steve, baby. I've been noticing all these big guys like the Super Collider, the Warrior, this Thor. Well, let me... First things first, man. I got a new haircut. Would you like to see it, man?
I want to see. All right.
GI Bro. GI Bro is my name. And beating people up is my game. Look in my eyes. Everybody in the WWA, I just want you to know one thing. The GI Bro is ready, willing, and able to take on all comers in the WWA. That means everybody. Thor, Cherokee Warrior, Super Collider, mainly because I seen what you did. You came out, you tore the sign up, you ripped it out of my little private's hand, and you stripped it in two, man. That's something you don't do. You don't mess with my little privates, man. It's a war. Let me tell you, when I get you in the squared circle, when I get you in the combat zone, when I get you in the ganking zone, that's when I'm going to declare World War III on you and take you clean out on the team, man. Ah!
Really one of the all-time best promos, I think, of your career.
I'll come back inside the hall. From the WWA to WCW to reality of wrestling.
Look at it.
Oh, man, what a hell of a ride. It's been a hell of a run, man. What a hell of a run it's been.
It's been pretty incredible, huh?
It is, man. It really is. It's been a hell of a ride, seriously.
It's pretty sweet, man.
Every time I think about it, I don't think about it too often, but, thinking about it, it has been a hell of a ride, seriously. I want to thank everybody for being a part of it, seriously. I don't think I would have made it without the fans, cheering for me and rooting for me. And, we were just in Atlanta and just thinking about being, on Beach Street doing WCW Saturday night. We just went, we had to park because it's this new arena now. And I remember just when we just went last week, I was driving and Vic was with me. And not Vic, I'm sorry, Charles. Charles was with me. And
shout out Chuck Rice.
Shout out to Chuck Rice. And I was like, man, because the CNN Center, it looks different now. Downtown, it looks different. Everything's look different. And I said, man, I think I remember where we used to park. And boom, I made the left turn. Then I rode down a little few blocks. And I told Charles, man, I don't know, man. I must be in the wrong spot. It's turned around and we was finna go back to the spot where he had, some information where we were supposed to go in. And then I saw the WWE staff sign right where I thought it would be, from back in the day when we used to go there. And I was like, wow, the old brain is still working.
Just thinking, brother.
I'm serious, man. So, no, man, good times, man. It's been a hell of a ride.
Been a hell of a ride. Well, you know what, Book? We got to get to our super chatters before we get out of here today. Again, so this is y'all's last segment to send one in. So we're going to start again at the top.
Super chat.
Brandon said, yo, Book, who's your women's Mount Rushmore? And here's the thing. I think he corrected me. I thought he was talking about since we were talking about Pam Grier. But then Brandon started giving us his wrestling women's Mount Rushmore.
Oh, women's women. Okay, that's going to be Sharon Martell. That's going to be Trish Stratus. It's going to be Sable. And then it's going to be probably Lita.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one, actually.
Yeah.
I kind of rock with that one. It's hard, right? Just to be different, I'm going to say Mae Young, right? I'm going to say Trish Stratus. I know you said that, but I got to repeat Trish. I'm going to give someone from today. I'm going to go Becky Lynch. And then I'm going to throw another curveball. I'm going to go Nikki Bella for the audience she brought in from the wrestling shows.
All right.
The reality shows. That's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Next one.
Super chat.
Cali Toenail. BT, how did you win the first ever lights out match versus The Rock? I didn't see the ref count or anything. Book in through the table, music right to the spinneroonie. Yeah, this was this was early on. This was like an August 16th, 2001 edition of SmackDown. I don't know if you have any recollection of it.
I don't.
They called it the first ever lights out match.
I don't remember it, man. I don't remember it. It really didn't have any real significance or anything like that. Matches that didn't have any significance in my career, I just don't remember them. It was just another day at the office. I guess that's one way you can look at it. So no, I don't have any recollection of that match at all.
And you don't remember how you won it, obviously. I think it was like a fight, right? It was supposed to be kind of like a street fight, and you just put the Rock through the table, and I think that signified the end of the match. Like you beat him up.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Brandon said his women's order is Gail Kim, Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, and Bianca Belair.
All right.
I think it's your Mount Rushmore. It can be whatever you want.
I think people going to go with like their era, on stuff like that. And I think that's what, I guess that's why I think the way I do. I'm thinking about my era. I'm not thinking about, and my Mount Rushmore is, of that era. Yeah.
Well, bro, I got killed on X the other day because I put up what I thought was my Texas wrestling Mount Rushmore. I don't know if you saw this. I put my Texas wrestling Mount Rushmore is Undertaker, Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels, and Booker T. That's my wrestling Mount Rushmore for Texas. Okay.
Right.
Everybody hitting me up. What about Stan Hansen? What about Dory Funk Jr.? What about Dusty? What about the Von Erichs? What about this guy? And I said, look, it's my. Not your, my. This is my. And then you're like, oh, you can tell guys who don't know anything about the business. And
right.
My favorite comment.
Business. Get your Mount Rushmore and put it up. I'm not going to be upset about it. I mean, come on here. Yeah.
Bro, I can't put all the Von Erichs on the Mount Rushmore. There's too many of them. There's 4 spots. My favorite one was one guy goes, Booker T shouldn't count as a Texas wrestling guy. He lived in Louisiana till he was 20. And I was like, I responded. I'm like, hey, that's not accurate. That's all I said. Like, that's not accurate. And then the guy goes back and goes, well, I got family in Louisiana, so I know something about this. And you know what? I just let him have it. I'm like, I'm not going to hold you. If that's what you want to believe. I'm sure there's some people who ran into Booker back at 110th Street. You know what I mean? But
I got buddies, right down there from Marty's Pool Hall. Right down the street.
Right down the street. So, I'm not going to hold you, my man, but I might have a little insight as well. And then they put out a book, and it's great knowledge. Okay, here we go. Baddest Son said, will we ever see you guest referee on NXT? That would have been the perfect addition to Trick versus Mello. I think that's a missed opportunity. You should have been the main event with Trick and Mello.
That would have been a cool opportunity, but I'm not looking to do any reffing or anything like that. Nah, I'm good just sitting at the table. If I was offered a spot to do something like that, I probably would do it just because, I'm a team player. I'm still in good enough shape to actually do it. So if the opportunity came, I would actually do it, but I'm not looking to scratch that itch, or anything like that.
Yeah, man. Big Breezo. After watching the Taker interview, I watched a 2001 match with him and Booker was fire in the ring, man.
Hey, man, I held my own with the Undertaker. I think that's one of the reasons why I lasted in that company, because if you work with the Undertaker, you got a bad review, you weren't going to be around very long.
That's what I was going to ask.
I'm serious. I don't think you're going to, pass any test if you didn't pass that dead man test in WWE. And I don't remember being nervous or anything working with Taker. I don't remember being, wanting to feel out of place or anything like that. It was just another night at the office. But I made sure I went out there and did my job with the Undertaker. I remember that more than anything. Those moments, man, it's not just about the match. It's got so much to do with so much of everything else that's going on. And everybody's watching, especially in Gorilla. So for me, I was thinking about passing that test. And like I say, I think I did that.
This comes from Jeff, or Jefe Pilot. I'm going to be at Reality Wrestling soon. I'm working now so I can head to Houston. I'm ready for the grind.
Hey, man, it's the place to be if you want to be a professional wrestler. If you just want to come check out a great show, it's definitely the place you want to go and see what, how we really do the magic at Reality Wrestling. I'm talking about from top to bottom, You're going to leave not just, having a night at the wrestling. You're going to have an experience that you're going to remember for the rest of your life. So come on out and check out Reality Wrestling.
Booyah, man. And we have a couple more before we get out of here. The Dork Knight said, who's Ryback? Never heard of him.
Ryback is the guy that's about to get this big match. You know what I mean? With Bobby Lashley over in AEW. It's a one-night thing. It's a one-nighter. What do you think about that? It's one-nighter, one-off.
One-off? Well, I still don't like it.
They could call it the big guys.
The big guys.
What's wrong with that?
Come on, man.
That's a good bill for the marquee, man. Just check it out. The big guys.
Oh, shoot, man. No. You know what? Maybe we make Buff Bagwell a special guest referee. You know what I mean? Then I might be in on that. Keith said, Scott Steiner on commentary. Me and Scott. You know what I mean? I would really like that. Keith says, and we got to get out of here, but Keith says, I was at the St. Louis NXT show. I got a spot on the stage. It was amazing. Booker, what were your thoughts on the look of the factory? It should come back again. We just talked about how much we liked the look of the show in St. Louis.
Yeah, it was a great look. I'm sorry. Ask me that question again.
What do you think of the look from St. Louis?
Oh, it was awesome. My dog was attacking me. But no, man, I won an arena like that one day myself.
Sweet.
That's something that definitely inspired me because it was such an awesome spot to actually do a wrestling show, boxing, MMA, concert, whatnot. I was like, man, we gotta upgrade our game. We gotta up our game at Reality Wrestling. Construction crew is gonna be coming in next week to get some work done as well. I'm still thinking about this stuff, but nah, man. Nah,
big guys.
You like that now, don't you? You like it now, don't you? You feeling that?
Yeah.
We got to get out of here, man. With that our last one, man.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, we got to get out of here. I want to thank everybody for stepping inside the Hall of Fame. Getting your champagne wishes and caviar dreams. For all the heavy lifting, Brad, I appreciate it. Until next time, peace. We love you, and we out.